Newbie Sports is trying something a little bit different today just to see if it flows a little bit better, looks a little bit better, and sounds a little bit better. So, welcome to Newbie Sports. We had my part one breakdown, give some insights into how I think the Pac 12 is going to go, how I think the ACC is going to go, and now we're going to go into a few other things. We're going to go over the independents, we're going to go over Conference USA, and then we are going to go over the MAC. And in addition to those, we're going to go over my projections for the Big 12. So we went over the ACC and the Power 4, and today we're doing the Big 12. And then we did the Pac 12 for the Group 6, and today we're doing the MAC, Conference USA, and the Independents. But I started out last week with a little bit of a hot take on possibilities for Utah State. I think Utah State has a mountain to climb. But if they go into their conference championship game, 2 losses or fewer, and win it, they got a good shot of being the first team from Utah to appear in the college football playoffs. So let's get to this week. I just wanted to clarify, I don't think that's going to happen, but Utah State has a path for that to accomplish and for that to be accomplished. And should that happen, I would find that incredibly frustrating and incredibly hilarious all at the same time. And BYU fans would be angry, and Utah fans would be angry. So I would find that all to be quite interesting and hilarious. But this week, there's a lot of drama. A lot of drama with the BYU locker room. There's a lot of drama with how Kalani is dealing with funds. And I got to tell you, it's making me more nervous. These are distractions. I don't know if it's going to negatively affect the team. I don't know. But my Cougars, got to keep your head on straight. We got to make sure that we're focused on football. But a few caveats going into my predictions for this week. I know I am predicting the Big 12, and Big 12 is what I mostly pay attention to, given that BYU is in the Big 12. And I also pay attention to the SEC a little bit, just because I like to trash them any opportunity I can. And yes, sometimes it is self-gratifying. But the Pac-12, the Big 12 is in a really weird spot this year. Really, really, really weird spot this year. A lot of great can happen, and a lot of really bad can happen. This is the year that the Big 12 could demonstrate that we are absolutely a power conference. Definitively, we're already considered a power conference, but definitively demonstrate that we are not the bottom of the power conferences. Playoffs didn't help us last year. And it also can demonstrate that we're exactly placed where we ought to be. So the Big 12's got to do great this year, and I only have a few teams doing really, really well from the Big 12. But I think Texas Tech has a lot of issues with their offseason stuff that they had to deal with this year, in addition to the fact that their top guys left. They had some good retention, they had some good transfers and all that kind of stuff. They had good recruiting, all that kind of stuff. They had really, really great players leave. That doesn't just get replaced just because you get new players in. The Texas Tech Raiders have not demonstrated themselves as a Big 12 favorite for any other reason than they won the Big 12 last year. This roster they have has not done it. And Texas Tech fans, you might be a little angry for me pointing that out. I don't care. That's kind of what the reality of the situation is. And we'll get to my licks for BYU in just a minute, but we're going to go over to Utah. Utah lost Kyle Whittingham, I think, because they forced him out. He said he was retiring, but now he's at Michigan. And he might do pretty good at Michigan. I don't think he's going to win the title with Michigan, but he could do really well this year. Then again, it could be like North Carolina last year, which highly respected coach. Well, now I'm putting Kyle Whittingham on the same conversation as Bill Belichick. So feel free to roast me in the conversation in the comments down below. But there are a few similarities. The story with Michigan this year has been Kyle Whittingham coming in and trying to right the ship with all the nonsense that happened at the end of the season last year. And the story with North Carolina last year was Bill Belichick. Now, Kyle Whittingham's gotten himself into a bunch of hot water because his thoughts on not hating fan bases. And here's my hot take. I think that's correct. I think that hating people for any reason is ridiculous. I think that hating programs for any reason is ridiculous. That might sound rich coming from me, given my open disdain for the SEC. I'm working on that as a person. I don't think that's benefiting me as a person. And I think rivalries can be just as great and just as intense and just as captivating without the hate element. I don't think encouraging people to hate is a good thing. And you can call me a snowflake if you want. That's my take. I really don't see why Kyle Whittingham got as much hate as he did from that comment. But Ryan Day, response to that is exactly what the people who thrive on the hate of college football, strive for. But that might result in him shooting a little bit past the mark, and losing to Michigan this year. We're gonna see what happens. I don't know if it's gonna happen. We're gonna see what happens. But my take is I agree with Kyle. I never thought that I would agree with Kyle Whittingham. But I don't think hate benefits the league. I don't think hate benefits the rivalry. I don't think hate benefits the sport. I don't. And I think we got to find a way to get past that. But coming back to the University of Utah and their problems. First-year coaches generally don't do exceptionally well in their first season. It generally doesn't happen. And the University of Utah lost a lot of talent with Kyle going to Michigan. And there were a lot of holes in their program last year that became fairly evident, that with their needing to pull off miraculous wins in order to have the great season they had last year. But there's a lot that is missing from the University of Utah that I don't think people are taking into account. Now, I have them doing fairly well, but the gaps in the program for University of Utah, Texas Tech, and I'm about to get to BYU, could be the reason why my predictions are so wrong. So wrong. Coming to BYU. We know about the receiver room. We know about the receiver core. There is no proven receivers on this team yet, because most of them are brand new. Most of them are very inexperienced receivers. And so the opportunity is there for one of them to step up. Bachmeier was unproven last year, and he stepped up to the plate. And he did a really excellent job. And I think he's gotten better over the offseason. Of course. If you're a good player, you improve year to year. Have the wide receivers improved to the caliber that they were last year. That's item number one. The locker room issues with Ratzlaff the year before, Kingston at the end of this year, is indicative of a possible cultural problem with BYU, with the BYU team. I'm saying this as a Cougar fan. How are we not focused on the honor code here? How are we not focused on just drilling into these players? Follow these rules. You committed to these rules. In order for you to be on this team and stay on this team, you are to follow these rules. And if another player comes out with these kind of allegations in this offseason or next year's preseason, and even if it is demonstrated to be consensual, there is a problem in the locker room at BYU where they agree that they're going to follow the rules and then they don't. We have 2 strikes against that in back-to-back years. And for anyone who's gotten mad at me about my comments about Parker Kingston is not over. Parker Kingston's situation is not over. His case was dismissed without prejudice, which means it can be brought up again. So, Kingston's not out of the woods with that. And I think his football career is over as a result of it, which is sad. True. So, there's a whole bunch of problems that got to be sorted out with all of those things. And now, with the athletic director comments and Kalani's issues, with all of those clashing, there's more indications that that not all is happy in Happy Valley. And for any Penn State fans that watch this, we do call Utah Valley Happy Valley sometimes as well. So we have a lot to overcome in the state of Utah and in the Big 12. This is the year to do it. I don't point these things out to be a negative Nelly. I simply say, don't get too prideful. Don't get ahead of your skis. You can do this. You have done this. So continue to do it and do it well and show the country that we are a power conference worthy of your attention. With that, let's get to predictions. So we're starting with Independence because there's only 2 teams. UConn, I have them going 4-8. Notre Dame, I have them going 12-1 over the course of their season. We're going to come to what that means later on in future episodes. But here we are. Coming in with Conference USA. My picks are that New Mexico State is going to be the bottom there, with 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference. Sam Houston's going to follow 4-8 with 2-6 in conference. Tied with Sam Houston is Middle Tennessee with 4-8 and 2-6, and then Kennesaw State is going to have 4-8, but they're going to be 3-5 in conference. They're going to be 3-5 in conference, so they're a little bit ahead of Middle Tennessee and Sam Houston. Missouri State is going to break even. Missouri State is going to be 6-6 and 4-4 in conference. Louisiana Tech, 6-6, 6-6 and 4-4 in conference. There's a little bit of a glitch in my system here, but I predict them going 6-6. FIU, I have them going 6-6 and 4-4 in conference too. Delaware, I have them going 6-6, but I have them going 5-3 in Conference USA. Western Kentucky, 7-5 overall record and 5-3 in conference. And that makes our 2 Conference USA participants as Jacksonville State at 9-4, 6-2 overall record, and Liberty at, I have them going 11-2 and undefeated in Conference USA. So, those are my predictions for Conference USA. Notre Dame, I want to come back to them just a little bit to emphasize, since they're independent, it is difficult for me to break down their season without going thing by thing, and I need to get through the Big 12 before I come back to Notre Dame. And then Notre Dame's postseason thing is going to need to come in a few weeks. But next for the MAC. The MAC, bottom of the MAC, I have Western Michigan going 2-10, 1-7 in conference. Followed by them, Sacramento State, 3-9, 2-6. Akron, 3-9, 2-6. UMass, 4-8. So not the worst year for UMass. 4-8, but 2-6 in conference. Ohio, not Ohio State. Ohio, 4-8 and 2-6. Eastern Michigan, just under 500 right here. 5-7, 3-5 in conference. Central Michigan, also 5-7, 3-5 in conference. Bowling Green is gonna break even at 6-6, but they're gonna go 5-3 in conference. Ball State is also gonna go 6-6, 5-3 in conference. Buffalo is going to be 7-5, 5-3 in conference. So one more win outside of conference play, but same wins in conference play. Kent State is going to go 8-4, and they're going to go 7-1 in conference. They're only going to lose 1 game. Miami, Ohio, 10-3 overall. I think they're going to do really well. And then 7-1 in conference, with Toledo going 10-3 and 8-0 in conference. I have Toledo going undefeated in conference, going to the championship game, playing against Miami, Ohio, one loss in the play for them. Now, on to the Big 12. Okay. I'm really sorry. Bottom is Oklahoma State. I don't see them fixing this quickly. Oklahoma State, you're going to be 2-10 and no wins in conference for you. I see you not winning a single in conference game. Sorry. Feel free to roast me in the comments if I get this wrong. Next, Colorado, 3-9, 2-7 in conference. I think this is going to be Coach Prime's last year at Colorado. I think he has not demonstrated that he was the absolute dominant coach that he was kind of expected to be coming into this job. West Virginia is going to go 4-8, 2-7. There's a lot of people high on West Virginia this year. I am not one of them. Iowa State, after losing a lot of people to Penn State, is going to be 4-8 and 2-7 in conference. Once again, if I'm missing any of these details, feel free to roast me in the comments. I like to learn and all this kinds of stuff. But Baylor, I think this is possibly going to be my most incorrect prediction of the Big 12. I have Baylor going 4-8 and 2-7 as well. 4-8 overall, 2-7 in conference. If I'm wrong, feel free to roast me in the comments. Kansas State is not going to right the ship. They're going to go in next. 5-7, 2-7 in conference. And Kansas is going to do one game better than them and get to bowl eligibility. 6-6 total. Only 3-6 in conference though. Cincinnati, I have them going 7-5, 4-5 in conference. TCU 8-4, 5-4 in conference. Tied with them is going to be Arizona State. Now my Sun Devil fans might be mad at me for that, but I don't see them getting more than 8 wins. Arizona State 8-4, 5-4 in conference. UCF is going to be next, 9-3 with 6-3 in conference. Arizona is going to have the same record, 9-3, 6-3 in conference. Now, the top 4 of the Big 12. Bottom of the top 4 is Utah. I see them winning 10 games and losing 2. 7-2 in conference. Houston, I see going 11-1 in total record and only losing 1 in conference game. BYU is gonna go in the regular season 12-0, and they're gonna go 9-0 in conference, and Texas Tech is gonna do the same thing, 12-0 regular season play, and 9-0 in conference play. We're gonna get to the postseason numbers shortly. But wait, sorry, I was incorrect about BYU. I have BYU 11-1. And so they're 11-1 regular season record, tied with Houston, but they have 9-0 in Big 12 play. Tied with Texas Tech. Both of them are going to go undefeated in conference play and go to the Big 12 championship game for a rematch of last year. So now we can go over BYU's record and see where that one loss comes in. So, I have week 1, they're not losing to Utah Tech. Arizona, I do think they win that. Colorado State, I don't see them as a challenge, even though they're going to be on the road. Yeah, same with TCU. I think BYU beats TCU. That could be the first upset, but yeah. BYU in week 6 hosting Iowa State. No, they're going to win that game. Abso-freaking-lutely. And then, week 7, Notre Dame versus BYU. What did I pick? I'm sorry, Cougar fans, I gotta pick Notre Dame. I know this is an important game for the Big 12. I don't think the Cougars get this one done. But that does mean for the rest of the season. They beat UCF, they beat Arizona State, and Utah hosts them, and they beat Utah at Utah. I think Utah's got a lot more locker room problems and personnel problems than BYU does, and that results in the Cougars being 4-time in a row champions of the Holy War. And then Baylor, they win that game. Kentucky, they win that game. Cincinnati, they win that game. And go to the conference championship against Texas. So now we're going to go to Notre Dame season and break down why I think they're going to be undefeated in regular season. So coming over to Notre Dame, why I think they're going to be undefeated in regular season play. Week 1, Wisconsin. I don't think Wisconsin's got what it takes to beat Notre Dame. Rice, that they're hosting Rice. Yeah, they're winning that game. They're hosting Michigan State. Now, Michigan State's another one of those sleepers that you never really know what they're going to be, but I don't think they're beating Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame against Purdue. They're going to beat Purdue. Notre Dame against North Carolina. They're beating North Carolina. Stanford? I don't think Stanford beats Notre Dame. And then we just went over BYU. They go at Navy. Navy is another one of those weird ones with Notre Dame, so I could be wrong about this prediction, and Navy could beat Notre Dame. I don't think they will. Notre Dame comes in, and then here's the one that I think is the key thing for this season that I could be absolutely wrong about. I do have Notre Dame winning against Miami. I have Miami losing this game. And I think that would I think Notre Dame comes in with a fire under them that says we should have been in the playoffs last year. Look at these schmucks. And they're hosting them. So I think Notre Dame is going to come into this very hungry, very aggressive, and they're going to come out on top. And then Boston College, I don't have them doing too bad this year, but I don't think they're going to lose to Notre Dame. SMU, they're not beating Notre Dame. Syracuse, they're not beating Notre Dame. Come on. No. But yeah, that's going to put them into the playoffs. Undefeated regular season Notre Dame is going to the playoffs. And we will get to who they lose to in a few weeks. So those are my predictions for the Independents, the MAC, Conference USA, and the Big 12. What are your thoughts? Am I completely and totally wrong? What are your thoughts on the locker room drama, the off-season drama, and the preseason drama from all these teams from the Big 12? Am I completely off base? Have each of these programs moved on from these things and it's really not going to affect their season at all? I think it has. I think it will. And those are my predictions. But until then, this has been Newbie Sports.